Alright, so today we're going to talk about math. Woo! Before you get freaked out and scared and run away, we're going to talk specifically about why Bungie can't seem to do math when it comes to loot. So, as a whole, last season we had the Nether, and then we had Ride of the Nine towards the end, which Ride of the Nine was pretty rewarding. Could they have made it more rewarding? Yeah, obviously. But as a whole, final week of it and the random weeks that would change for whatever it was, whatever the focus dungeon was, dropped pretty good amounts of loot. You got stuff to drop while doing it, and that stuff's awesome. And then you had material you got, which you could turn in for more loot, and then completing the activity you got loot. Pretty nice, you know. For a dungeon, it makes sense. And now in the new system for the portals, they actually did this. You go in and get kills and stuff inside the portal. Whenever you're doing like solo ops, anything you can drop from solo ops can drop while you're playing. Most of the time it's tier 3 or 2 or 1, which is trash, but once in a blue moon I've gotten tier 4. Most of it armor, but it's nice. So then if you go and play Pinnacle Ops, you can actually get the Pinnacle weapons to drop, which is pretty awesome while you're doing Pinnacle Ops. So it's a pretty cool system, you know. Weapons could drop while you're doing it. But, with there being a lack of material to like open a chest, like with Friday the 9, it's kind of an issue after that. So then we look at Nether. So Nether at first was very hated because, well, unfortunately a lot of people were pretty body, and they went in expecting it to be super easy, because most stuff was super easy up to that point. So when it actually ended up having to be, you know, play your life and play smarter, people didn't like it at first. But towards the middle and end of the season, the Nether started to be praised. When people's light levels got higher, they could actually do the activity better and weren't dying as much. And once they figured out how the mechanics worked and figured out this and that, it was better, right? But it started out pretty nice. I personally enjoyed it. I soloed my first one, and it was quite fun. Within, like, I don't mean my first one like the first one I did, but my first one I soloed I did in, like, the first day or two. I went and was like, you know what? I think I can do this. If you stay focused, you focus on keeping your health up, you do it. And it took like an hour, you know, it wasn't super quick. It took a minute. I don't think it took an hour, actually, because it was easy mode, but it took a minute. And then after that, I started doing Expert, and I eventually soloed Expert. And basically, that's all I ever did was go in and solo Expert, and if people wanted to join while I was doing it, I let people join, because you could join in progress. So this sorta system was good. You know, it gave you a lot of loot. Not only did you get a lot of loot from the final chest in each area, there were 3 areas total, you got like 3 to 4 pieces of gear minimal per area. Then you also got chests throughout that you could open. It gives you more loot. Unfortunately, those couldn't be adept loot, which would now be considered, you know, higher tier stuff, but it was still gear, which means you could at least potentially get a god roll something. And then we move over to this season and we have, well, the portal. And for some reason, that amazing loot quality that everyone loved about it was the loot quality got thrown down the window. And that's where the math comes in. So now we look at solo ops. So obviously I got +3 here right now, but don't look at that, you know. It only is actually +1 loot, and the bonus loot's the +3, which again isn't important. It's just the one completion reward. So you complete these easily in 4 to 5 minutes. That is the average. That is the overall average of the player base, is 4 to 5 minutes on every single one of these. And yes, some of these can be complete quicker, and some of them, for some people, will take longer. But the average overall is between 4 and 5 minutes, maybe 5 and 6 minutes for a couple of them because you got to cap plates. But mostly it's 4 to 5 minutes. So we get 1 piece of gear, right? Again, the +3 bonus drops does not count because that is only one time. Obviously, you can get a bonus drop here and there when you're doing stuff, but majority, it's going to be 1 gear, and then if you have a focus like this, you can have 2 pieces of gear drop, which would one be the cloak and one would be whatever else there is. That's how it works. Or if you're at the prime level, it'd be a prime that drops extra. But as a whole, if I go and farm something like this, once I do the first one here and get the 3 extra pieces of gear, which will be useless, let's be honest here, it's almost always tier 3 and low level, so it's trash. Once in a while it's tier 4, but for some reason most of the time it's tier 3 for me. Maybe everyone has that issue, I don't know, not part of the thing. So, 4 minutes for some of these, 4 to 5 minutes I think is the average overall for all of them, is 4 to 5 minutes, 6 minutes for a couple of them. So let's just put it at 6 minutes, right? Let's say everyone's completing these in 6 minutes for the most part, right? So why is it when we go over to Fireteam Ops and look at a battleground like Delve here, which, especially on the harder modes, on the higher tier modes, takes like 20-30 minutes? So you're already looking at double the loot, at minimal, double the time for loot, at the very least, and that's if you do this slower, or semi-fast, semi-slow, depending on how you look at it. Where, some people can complete these really quick, but on average, when I've done this with people, it's about somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. It's a bit inconsistent. Sometimes it's closer to 20, sometimes it's closer to 30. It's in between there. So if the first one's like 6 minutes, again, that's high, but we're going to do that just for, simplicity. We're already looking at from, if I'm closer to the 20-minute mark, right, we're looking at 6, 12, 18. That's 3 times longer already, but since we're over the 20 mark, that's 4 times longer nearly. And for some reason, we're still only getting 1 completion reward, as it says here, 1 completion reward. Again, the 3 bonus do not count because it's only once. Once you get it, you don't get it again unless you complete stuff or it randomly gives it. When you complete activities in these, they randomly give you one sometimes. If you only have 1 available, then it'll give you an extra one here, so you get extra once in a while. But that's a different story entirely, and it doesn't matter. Because as a whole, 9 out of 10 times, you're going to get 1 gear. Period. Okay? For something that is 4 times plus longer, you're getting 1 piece of gear. Meanwhile, solo ops is 4 times quicker, and you only get 1 piece of gear, which makes sense, right? Quick 1 gear, fine, I can agree with that. It'd be nice if they had like a bonus focus where this day will grant 2 pieces of gear or something. That'd be kind of cool. But other than that, it makes sense. It's very quick, slower gear, fine. But something that takes 4 times longer, heck, even Devil's Lair, which is probably the quickest one on this list for Fireteam Ops, still takes like anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes too. Like, these are quick, and it still takes a hot minute on the Grandmaster. Obviously, some teams can make it quicker. This is an average idealism. The average is for everyone. Majority of people. You're still looking at 3 to 4 times minimal, and then even higher for some people. And again, only 1 completion reward. And then we look at Inverted Spire, which they said they're increasing, but they only said they're increasing it by 1 engram. So you're telling me, son, this one is a very long one, because you got to cap plates, you've got to destroy stuff, you got to kill bosses, you got to kill a whole bunch of ads that spawn every, 20 minutes, it feels like. They take forever to spawn sometimes. It's more like a minute to spawn between the waves, but still, it takes a long time. So you're looking at this one always around the 30-minute mark. I think I've seen 1 timer under 30, ever when I've played it with people. It's almost always around close, we're talking about severely under the 30 mark, 25 minutes. I've seen it once. Most of the time, it's 28 minutes to 35 minutes, which that already makes it even more. We're talking about a solo ops, which, again, we're doing average of 6 minutes, which is not the actual average, but we're putting it there just for easier math and to show the ideal of how this works. If we're talking about 30 minutes now, right? We got 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. 30 minutes, that's 5 times longer. If I did my math right. I'm horrible at math, so don't quote me there. But I'm better at Bungie, it seems. So we're talking about a 5 times longer activity, and they're adding plus 1 engram reward. And Bungie says they want you to play as a fire team with friends. How is that going to happen, Bungie, if you're not increasing the loot by how much it scales? Seriously. So, this is how I'm saying this should work. This is exactly how the math should work. If you're doing, let's say customized, right? Let's say you're doing a normal one. Because you're low level, you're plus 10, right? You do a normal one. Okay, 1, 2 engrams, I can agree with. 1 to 2, I think 2 would be better because it is still longer than solo ops, so it still should be more. But does that be much more? Because honestly, normal's so easy. Even when you're at level 10, everyone blows through it. It's a joke, right? Even when you're of level, you blow through it. Well, then we have advanced, right? So advanced adds another engram. We go from 2 to 3 engrams, right? And then we go to 200, which is expert. This is when there starts being a little bit of difficulty when you're at a certain level. Obviously, once you hit above the level, it becomes easy again. But when you're under that level, this becomes a bit rough. This becomes a bit harder to do. This is where you start feeling a little bit more. So instead of 1 engram increase, so we go from 2 to 3, this would be 4, we go till 5 engrams. And then for this one, we have 6 engrams. This one, we have 7 engrams. And then this one, the final one, which we don't have access to yet, would be 8 engrams. That's how it should work. It should be based on the mode you go into. It scales your loot higher and higher. And you get more and more. And this is completely balanced because they can keep the level system how they have it, where 1 or 2 pieces of gear will give you a level increase, and the rest are like the bonus gear, except instead of bonus drops that are shit, actually have something that's good. I can still get tier 4s and 5s a drop. And then you have a chance at getting an extra piece. I think it should stack at times 3 for Pinnacle, or Powerful, or Prime, whatever they want to call it. I think it should cap out at 3 engrams max, potentially, and that should be a chance at. It's guaranteed 1, you have a chance at, for your very first clear, it's guaranteed one, and then you have a chance at one every so many runs, right? And then it gives you, when you get one, you have a chance at a second or third one. And then they should scale that, one in every 3 or something, so it's at least easier. When you get a prime, right, you're going to get a second one eventually, not have to wait 20 years to get one, to get double up. But yeah, the loot should be tied to how hard it is, not tied to, oh, we're only going to give you one engram because who cares? And it's the problem, is the loot is disappointingly trash because you can't farm it, and the few pieces that are good are horrible to farm, because even when it's the bonus focus, it says, achieve grade B or higher to earn this reward. You can't even earn it half the time. It's like 20 runs in and you don't even see it some days. And that's horrible. Like, damn. What type of system is that? So this is what we're talking about. I don't know if this is Bungie higher-ups deciding this. I don't know if this is the devs. I don't care who it is. The reality is this is what's not happening, is you are not scaling the loot based on difficulty. A lot of people didn't know this, and I bet you didn't, but for someone that played a lot of Expert, you actually got more loot in Expert than you did in Normal for Nether last season. It would drop an extra engram every time you completed it, and it also had a chance to drop another one. You could have, I think it was up to 5 engrams drop per chest, potentially. And then you also got Ascendant Shards, Prisms every time, tons of enhancement cores. I got 10, 15 enhancement cores per chest opening. It was a crazy number. Every time you did it. And the loot scaled too. So it was the first chest gave 3 gear, and you had a chance at 4. The second chest gave 4 gear, you had a chance at 5. And the final chest gave 5 every time, or something or gave 4 and then a chance at 5 as well, something like that. I don't remember exactly, there was some sort of scaling. But each one area you cleared gave you extra loot. Whereas in this, they took that idealism because it got harder, that's why you got more loot. Each round would make it slightly harder, which would mean more loot. And then they go to this thing and they're like, oh, you want to go do a Grandmaster so you can farm loot? Too bad. You're getting 1 piece of gear. What? What the fuck? What? Automatically it is a longer activity, so it should have more loot. But then if you're doing a harder version of it, it should have more loot. This is simple math. This does not take rocket science. Does not take geniusness. This takes simple applied game logic. Every game in the universe other than Destiny does this and applies this. Bungie had it last season applied to the game, but this season they decided to say, scrap that ideal, we're not doing that. And that is ridiculous. What is that system? Why would you make us go do something harder and give us way less loot? And you're forced to do harder. If you want to level up or get tier 4 and 5 loot, if I want to go do a Whisper mission, I have to go do a Grandmaster to get loot. Otherwise, I won't get loot. I can't go and do an easier one. So forcing us to do a harder one and not forcing us to do and get better loot for it is crazy. I don't know what Bungie's been thinking. I don't know what their math system is. I don't know what they've been smoking. But Bungie as a whole doesn't seem to understand the logic that they literally have showed us they know how to do in previous seasons when we've had it multiple times. It's not like the Nether was just a great example of it because there was so much of it. So much loot. But they've done it in other activities before. The higher up you go, the more loot you get. Nightfalls, GMs, they were his thing. Higher up one you did, the more chance you had of getting better loot. And you were guaranteed the adept and stuff. I don't know where the line at Bungie head office is drawn, but whoever has drawn that line needs to remove it. Because the difference between this game and other games is there is no loot. And that is why the portal has failed. It is why everyone is upset. And this last TWID did not comfort that ideal at all. All it comforted was, oh, we're going to increase it, but we're not going to tell you by how much. Which the TWID before told us by 1. So they're probably just going to still do it by 1, which is horrible. And yeah, that's just not okay, period. Liminality is a long strike. Can you imagine getting 2 engrams from this strike? Fuck no. No one's going to farm it still, because no one cares. And then we've got onslaughts, which onslaughts are increasing it by 1, which gives it 4 engrams now, which is honestly shit. Because these do take a while. Yes, with a good team, a really good team, you can do these in less than 20 minutes. It is 100% possible. But 90% of teams aren't a good team. They're just a bunch of people either chilling and not caring or sweating, or they're newer players or people that just don't play hard, right? So the average team is taking 20-something to 30 minutes on this, and that's crazy, but that's true. So 3 rewards still ain't enough. And yeah, it's nice you get the reward chests throughout every time you kill a boss. You kill the first boss, you get a reward chest. Second boss, you get a reward chest. But the reward chests are useless, because half the time they don't give you anything good. They give you a tier 3 or less if you're high level, and that sucks. So the loot system as a whole is trash in the game now. Bungie has absolutely destroyed it. They took everything that they were told was good from the previous season and decided to scrap it and do nothing. Now, if this is some sort of ploy for Bungie to, get more attention in a sense, where, oh, all of a sudden we give everyone what they want, now everyone will come play, it's not going to work, because this is a new saga. This is supposed to be a new game. They advertised it as a new game, and all they did was give us everything we've had in the past back and made it shit. That is a skill no other game company has. How to bring your community back 0% of the time. Bring them back all the old stuff they don't care to farm, they don't want to play with, none of the activities that anyone liked, and then make sure they give you 0 loot for the amount of time it takes. That is a true skill at that point. Bungie, I'm proud that you figured out your skill of how to crush a game. As a whole, this video is a rant, but this video is also an explanation of what the fuck is wrong with this game. Bungie, I don't know why you can't do basic math. I don't know who at head office is the problem here, but somebody's the problem. And personally, the new guy hasn't done any change or allowed any changes that matter, so it still seems like I was right. And I haven't seen anything that changes that idealism yet, and I think a lot of people are agreeing with me at this point, at least hopefully. I know a lot of people were supporting the TWID like a bunch of lunatics, but I started to see today, when people started to actually think about it, they're like, wait a second, this ain't as good as we thought. So people are now starting to realize that better to be late than never, I guess, but maybe a little quicker next time so Bungie will do something. Fortunately, not enough people are understanding that this TWID was shit still. And unfortunately, that means Bungie's going to go through with these ideals that they have, and they're going to be horrible, and then everyone's going to bitch about them. But if you wait too long to bitch, then it doesn't change for another 6 months, which is what we're literally watching happen right now. Obviously, it's only been like 2 months, but my point is it takes a long time because Bungie then can milk it that way. Oh, it takes us a while. Whereas you complain before it becomes live, then they have no choice to change it, because if they don't, they know everyone's going to hate it. It's better to bitch before than to bitch after when it comes to gaming. Anyways, that's the video. My little rant at the end there, but I wanted to make my point across either way. The loot system is horrible, so Bungie, that's the problem. You give us loot, people will play your shitty game. Even these old shitty activities. But if you don't give us loot, no one's going to play it. Just like what's happening now. People are playing solo ops, and that got boring, and a lot of people have quit. Our numbers have dropped massively for this game. This season started out horrible, and it's gotten even worse. So, yep, Bungie, good job. You're killing your own game. And Marathon will not be your savior in no universes. There is no universe I play or exist in this world, or anyone that plays a game in this world, Marathon will save their company. There is no universe alive that works. Bungie smoking if they think that's their savior. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the little rant, enjoyed the information, if you agree with me that the loot is a problem, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Adios, we're gone. Bye!